I've owned my FS5 for about a year now, and I wanted to share with you guys my opinions on it, what I like and dislike after a year of shooting with it. When I was looking for a new camera to buy, I was stepping up from my GH4, and I was looking at the Red Raven, the Ursa Mini 4.6K, the FS7, and the FS5. And I finally chose the FS5 because of how versatile it is. I shoot all sorts of things, so I really needed a very versatile camera and a camera that I could change a lot. The FS5 is really a documentary and event style camera out of the box, but if you buy an external recorder for it, as I've done, I think it really changes the camera into more of a cinema camera. The design of this camera is really, really good. It just feels great in your hands. The articulating side grip just works so well. It has really good in-camera audio. I was coming up from using the Panasonic GH4 and just stepping up to something with XLR inputs and levels that you could change on the fly was really great. The FS5 has a variable ND filter, which is really amazing and has completely changed the way I shoot. Having a long-lasting battery was really important to me, and that's one of the reasons I love the FS5 is the battery will last all day. Another great feature of the FS5 is the dual SD card slots. You can set up the camera so it will record to both slots simultaneously, or you can set it up so that when one card fills up, it will switch over to the other card. It shoots 240 frames per second in a burst mode, and it's really nice to have that super slow motion capability right in the camera. Another big reason why I love the FS5 is the extended dynamic range over something like a GH4. I film a lot outdoors, and having high dynamic range is really important to me, so the 14 stops that are in the FS5 are awesome. The sensor is a super 35mm sensor, which is kind of the standard for digital film. And of course, the camera has interchangeable lenses. It's a Sony camera. If you've ever worked with any type of Sony camera, you know that the menus suck. You have to dig so far into the menus. Say you're trying to change from 4K video to super slow motion 1080p, which I do all the time. You actually have to go into the menu, change your resolution to 1080p, go out of the menu, and then go into slow motion mode. And it's a really, really big pain, and I've missed shots because of this. Just a bunch of other menu settings that should be really, really easy to access. They're hard to access, they're buried in there, and the menu isn't intuitive and it doesn't exactly make sense. The button layout is okay, but it's not great. I think the buttons could be more well thought out. In addition to not having the best button layout, it also doesn't have a touch screen. And coming from something like the Panasonic GH4, it was just so nice to have that touchscreen. There's no 4K at 60 frames per second in camera, which is kind of a bummer. And in order to get that 4K at 60 frames per second, you actually need to buy an external recorder. So the highest frame rate you can shoot continuously in the camera is 1080p at 60 frames per second. If you want to shoot those higher frame rates, you need to go into a burst mode. When you're shooting a wedding or an event, you really can't be waiting for the buffer to record onto the camera. So I really wish that internally in the FS5, you could record at like 100, 120 frames per second continuously. The internal codec on the camera is pretty weak, especially the 4K one, which is only an 8-bit color space. You really can't push it around too much. S-Log3 is a bit of a stretch. I would usually use S-Log2 when I'm shooting internally into the camera. On the flip side, it's small file size, and you know, it sure is nice having these tiny, tiny files to deal with. Straight out of the box, it's like this documentary run and gun style camera. But you can kind of change that by adding an external recorder. I bought the Atomos Shogun. With the addition of the Shogun Infernal, the FS5 can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, ProRes 422. It can also do that in RAW. It can shoot 240 frames per second continuously. It really depends what you shoot. If you're shooting, say, just films and music videos, and you're looking in that $10,000 price range, I would definitely go with a Red Raven or a Ursa Mini 4.6K. They just have better image quality for sure. But if you're kind of like me and you have to shoot events and weddings and documentary stuff and news stuff and films, and you're kind of doing all of it, I would definitely recommend picking up an FS5 with an external recorder, because you're not going to be able to get anything else that is this versatile. Just the ability to change the camera so much and set it up in so many different ways for your needs is really, really unique, and the reason why I love this camera. Yeah, that's kind of my overview on the FS5 after 1 year of using it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments down below. I'll see you guys later.